Trump calls on Gavin Newsom to resign over the LA fires. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Should Governor Gavin Newsom resign with the handling of what has unfolded here? Donald Trump saying the mismanagement. I'm going to be sharing with you the video footage so that way you can see it for yourself. And take a look at this. Newsom calls Trump his claim pure fiction after President-elect points the finger over the California fire tragedy at Gavin Newsom. And let me know your thoughts. I'm going to play for you the video footage, but that's not all. Take a look at this. LA residents are furious over the Democratic mayor for visiting Ghana amid the raging wildfires. I'm going to play for you the video footage. We're hearing that she actually took off on a trip to Africa while the fires were getting started, and then she came back, and people are furious. Should we see a resignation of the mayor as well? Take a look. Karen Bass left LA for Africa as wind fire warnings increased. She returned to a burning city. And here's another one. LA mayor, now look at this, was silent when asked if residents deserved an apology for her Ghana trip amid wildfires. Wow, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do we need to see resignations in LA for what is going on here? I'm going to get you caught up on the latest, share with you the latest video footage. And in addition to that, people are asking the question, what's the latest on the Los Angeles wildfires? What is causing them? Now, you can see this came out just about an hour ago today, January the 9th, 2025. Now, there is footage circulating I'm going to be sharing with you as people are claiming that these are actually not just happening by natural sources. And actually yesterday when we covered the Hollywood Hills fire that broke out last night, another fire, and then yet another building catching fire in a different location on a mountain, they're saying no. They believe that this could potentially be eco-terror attacks that are taking place. People lighting things on fire. Do you think that is what is happening here? This is not natural, but this is somebody that is actually lighting LA on fire. If you believe that, put a 1 in the comments. If you think no, this is natural causes, put a 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But let's take a look at this really quickly here. This coming out on X, and you can see this is trending everywhere right now. People are trying to figure out what is going on. LA wildfires, evacuations, SpaceX amid the devastation. We're hearing that Elon Musk is saying that Starlink will be available to everybody in LA. And you can see SpaceX will provide free Starlink terminals to the affected areas of LA starting tomorrow. You can see the coverage taking place, and take a look at this. Wow. Palisades in LA is completely gone. This is horrible. This is what the Palisades look like right now. Here's some more photos coming out. This is LA as of today, and it is just absolutely burnt to a crisp. Now, do me a favor. I see a lot of ones coming in, people saying they agree with the speculation that this could be caused by somebody, an eco attack. While you're putting those 1s or 2s, don't forget to drop a like for me. Help spread this out further so more people can get the latest updates, the video footage, as this is spreading everywhere. Here you can see, this is the one I reported to you last night live while it unfolded. A new fire has erupted in the Hollywood Hills, California. This was on the mountainside where the Hollywood sign is. They're saying that more fires are erupting everywhere, and they are just out of control. 0% containment. And this is the video footage I'm going to be playing for you here in a second, as we're hearing Gavin Newsom's response to all this, saying, hey, local authorities need to get a hold of their fire hydrants and their water. You know, we're okay with 1, 2, 3 fires, but not all of this, and they need to do something about it. Well, man, let me know your thoughts. Trump saying this is your fault, Gavin Newsom, and you need to resign. You have not prepared for these fire issues that we know California has. And if you agree with Donald Trump, drop a 47 if you think it's time for a resignation from the mayor and from the governor of California and LA. And also, as I mentioned, take a look at this. Now, this is video footage that's circulating. Individuals are saying that they are catching people lighting things on fire. Again, this is speculation. I'm not going to say this is actually factual as of yet. This is just something circulating on social media, but they're saying they believe these could be eco attacks. Now, here are some more photos of what is going on. Absolutely amazing. The footage coming out, the alerts of the raging wildfires that are just out of control. And again, 0% containment. And the reports that we heard coming out last night is that this is just going to get worse, that this is just the beginning, because again, 0% contained. It is only going to get worse from here as we go forward, is what we're hearing from the reports coming out with all of the fires that are taking place. So I'm going to get you guys caught up on the latest so that way you can see it for yourself, know exactly what is going on. But overnight, we're hearing that things are increasing, getting worse. And we're hearing for the calling of resignations. Now, you're going to see this. Donald Trump saying he needs to resign. Gavin Newsom coming out and saying, how dare Donald Trump play politics with this? People are losing their homes. They're losing their lives, and we need to try to help them. Yet at the same time, when asked what's going on with the water situation, he says, well, the local authorities need to deal with that, their water shortage. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I try not to give my thoughts here in the comments, but I've got some thoughts. Especially this hits home since I was a California local native for the majority of my life. And one of the reasons why I left was because I had asthma issues with the fires. I could not breathe because every single year, massive fires and no answers to it. Nothing being done by the governor or by the mayors. Absolutely devastating for the people that live there, to the point where you can't live there anymore. And actually, I saw a report come out where there was an individual that said, my parents have lived there all their life. Just recently, the insurance companies canceled their fire coverage, saying, we can't do it because the fires are out of control. We're not going to cover it because it's a disaster waiting to happen. And then yesterday, their house burnt down to the ground and there is nothing left, and there is no insurance coverage for them at all. And the individual said on the news report, I can see why people are leaving California if this is the way that they are operating things. Absolutely devastating. Our hearts go out to those that are being impacted by the fires. But I'm going to share with you the latest video footage. And again, just a little bit of my 2 cents. I try not to share too much of that, just get you the latest news. Let me go ahead and share for you what is going on in the video footage, the calls for Gavin Newsom to step down and resign, along with the mayor who went on a trip to Ghana in Africa. While the warnings were coming out, the fires were kicking in, and they're calling for her resignation. And when asked when she arrived back, hey, do you think that the people of LA deserve an apology from you that you decided to take a trip to Africa while they were under a major fire alert? There was no response to that, and she was silent on it. But I'm going to play for you the video footage so that way you can see it for yourself. And do me a favor, again, if you appreciate the updates, I know that this is not the news that anybody wants to hear, but if you appreciate it, take a second, hit that like button for me, helps spread this out further across the YouTube platform. That simple gesture helps out a ton. Also, subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything. And all of these articles that I'm going to be referencing today, as always, they are cited in the description below. I cite everything like a book report, so that way you can see it for yourself. Know that it is the latest. See the sources. Try to hold myself to the highest level of accountability for the community here on YouTube. Freedom, thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, Newsom needs to be fired no matter what. He is disgusting, uncaring, liberal. I lived all my life and born here, and he is the worst governor I ever remember, and I am almost 70 years old. Thank you for that $10 super chat, Freedom, and I got to say, I agree with you. Thank you so much for that. But you guys, let's go ahead and get you caught up on the latest. Let's dive into some video footage so that way you can see what is going on. And let's start off with this footage as Trump is calling for Newsom's resignation. He says this is all his fault with the poor management of what is taking place. Let's go ahead and dive into some video footage.
President-elect Trump is calling out California's Gavin Newsom over the state's response to the fires and its long-term planning.
Nate Foy is live in West Palm Beach, Florida. Hey, Nate.
Hey guys, good morning. President-elect Donald Trump is highly critical of California Governor Gavin Newsom's water management decisions in the years preceding these horrific fires. Namely, Trump says that Newsom should have and refused to sign a water declaration or a water restoration declaration that could have put California in a much better position to fight these fires.
I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration.
So Trump is referring to a 2020 memorandum that he signed meant to bring more water to Los Angeles and other parts of California, but the state said it wasn't scientifically justified and sued to block it for concerns about endangered species. Newsom's office pushes back on Trump's story, saying, quote, "There's no such document as the Water Restoration Declaration. That is pure fiction." Meanwhile, Trump is demanding Newsom's resignation, writing on Truth Social, quote, "One of the best and most beautiful parts of the United States of America is burning down to the ground. It's ashes, and Gavin Newsom should resign. This is all his fault." Here's Newsom last night.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, it's, people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in the Palisades, it ran out last night in the hydrants.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system.
Trump will attend former President Jimmy Carter's funeral in Washington, D.C. today, and then he'll fly back to Palm Beach, where he will meet with Republican governors at Mar-a-Lago tonight. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Nate, thank you very much.
Yeah, they were talking about the tanks. They were empty at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, they were empty.
On Tuesday?
On Tuesday. You got to be kidding me. Pacific Palisades, I mean, if you have a $3 million home, if the taxes are like New York, it's probably $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in taxes you're paying, and you can't get a hydrant. Yeah. You can't get a hydrant in front of your house. I mean, what about working class areas? If the high tax areas can't do this, and Rick Caruso came out and said, I talked to firefighters. They are frustrated. They're pulling up, and they said there's no water there, and they said that they don't have equipment necessary to fight. So, and while she decides, Karen Bass says, I'm looking at my budget, and I got to give over $1 billion to homeless, and I got to cut $23 million from the budget for firefighters. And they came back and said, you can't cut 23. So she says, all right, we'll just cut 17. How does that sound?
I would just like someone to tell me the appropriate time to criticize the leadership here. I mean, to the president, and I talked to the president last night, his criticism is warranted. He predicted this before it even happened. And he said, this is something that we can do to solve this problem. Okay, they don't do it. And now we're in this mess. A governor who loves to do press conference, loves the showboat of, the office, but when it comes to management and leadership stuff, he was asked about the fire hydrants, and he says he's going to leave it to the locals. Mm-hmm. There's a tragedy going on county to county, okay, city to city. You would think the state would have a position on that, and he says just go to the locals. That's a failure of leadership.
One young man in Pacific Palisades, I saw an interview with him. He was a high schooler, and he said they came to our house to try to hook up to the fire hydrant right in front of our home, and there was no water. Absolutely no water in this neighborhood in America. That shouldn't happen. Who's responsible for that? Who should be held accountable? Is it Karen Bass? Is it whoever's over the community of Pacific Palisades? The water problem needs to be fixed there, especially when there was an alert a few days before and Karen Bass goes over to Ghana and then flies back and won't answer questions. The reporter says, with Sky News, says, do you want to apologize to your community? She didn't say anything. Do you want to apologize for cutting the firefighters' budget so much? Why is homeless getting more than $1 billion and firefighters are getting their budget cut $17 million?
Well, look, the problem was, and you saw it live yesterday, there were 100-mile-an-hour winds. Mm-hmm. You could have a jillion gallons of water. It's not going to put it out. Obviously, what has happened as the winds have gone down and the fire crews have been able to get in and get back up into the air, they've been able to use the existing facility. One of the problems is they've got these great big tanks. Apparently, the city of Los Angeles has 114 massive tanks. They were all filled up at the beginning, but then nobody was expecting that kind of demand, and then it ran out. So going forward, your point about criticizing the leadership is accurate. It's like, okay, who decided we would only have this number of things? Who decided we would only have this number of tanks, this number of trucks, and stuff like this? And also going forward, I think a lot of the people in California are going to say, we could have had more water coming from that San Joaquin Delta thing if there weren't so many environmental protections for a tiny little fish that has been declared extinct.
Well, even Donald Trump in November of 2018, almost 9 years ago, he was out in the woods with Gavin Newsom saying, you need to fix your forests. How can Austria do this? How can Finland do this? They have many more trees and more forests than you do in California, and they don't have forest fires like California does.
I wonder if those tanks are actually full, Steve. I know you got to take them at their word, who's checking them, but I wonder if they were actually even full. Because you don't run out in hours. It doesn't matter if it's a big or small fire. You can't run out hours into a huge fire, even before you even know the magnitude of it. Maybe you can't get it out, but you could just save neighborhoods.
I'm Steve Doocy.
There you have you guys. So that was today. We saw that Trump is calling for Newsom's resignation, said that this is all his fault. Now, if you agree, drop a 47 in the comments if you agree with Donald Trump that this is Gavin Newsom's mismanagement fault. I saw some comments coming in saying that California has been dealing with this water issue for quite some time before Newsom. And yes, I believe that is true, but I don't think that that excuses the fact that they need to deal with this. Whoever is in charge, they need to address it, and they shouldn't be veering away from the situation or going on trips to Africa, as we saw with the mayor. Now, take a look at this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. You can see here, Los Angeles residents are furious with the Democratic mayor for visiting Ghana amid raging wildfires. You can see this coming out yesterday. Take a look at this. Los Angeles residents on Wednesday expressed fury with Democratic Mayor Karen Bass for visiting West Africa as wildfires raged across her home city. Now, thousands fled the city Tuesday as uncontrolled fires swept across the sea. The fast-approaching flames shut down multiple major roadways, forcing some people to abandon their vehicles. And let me know if you saw the video footage, people having to leave their cars and run on foot or go on bike to get out of the area because the traffic jams, they said that they had to abandon their vehicles. Mayor Bass, meanwhile, is in Ghana on a delegation trip to attend the presidential inauguration of John Dramani Mahama. During her time in Congress, the mayor chaired the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee of Africa, Global Health, Global Human Rights, and International Organizations. Commenters have flooded Mayor Bass's Facebook page with panicked messages, begging her to return to Los Angeles to govern her constituents. You're in Ghana while the area you were elected to serve is burning? One commenter asked, "What is the matter with you? Get home and at least pretend that you're a leader." "Excuse you," another commenter asked, "your city is burning and you are somewhere else?" Now, why are you away on a taxpayer-funded international trip while LA burns? Another added. One resident also demanded answers from Mayor Bass in an appearance on Fox News. Frogman, thank you for the $2 super chat. "I know where I am right now, but I don't know where my mayor was when this was happening," she said. "For someone to be in charge of my town, where were you?" she asked. And here is that X clip right here. It says, "Where were you? Wildfire victim exorcates Los Angeles Democratic mayor excoriates, I need some more coffee. Los Angeles Democratic Mayor Karen Bass for being out of the country as massive inferno engulfs the city of angels." Now, media outlet INKL reported Wednesday Mayor Bass was returning to Los Angeles. An email address associated with Mayor Bass's office did not immediately respond to a request for comments from the national news desk, TNND. So there you have it, you guys. People furious right now with the lack of response that is currently coming out from the mayor and from the governor, and that is why we are hearing calls for resignations. Here's another one. Karen Bass left LA for Africa as fire warnings increased. She returned to a burning city. For the first 24 hours of the Los Angeles wildfire disaster, Mayor Karen Bass was a constant presence on social media, urging Angelenos to flee evacuation zones and announcing her decision to declare an emergency. But Bass herself was far from the city. As flames tore through Pacific Palisades, she was on a diplomatic mission in Africa, communicating with key city agencies from afar. Bass left town on Saturday as a part of the presidential delegation to Ghana, just as the National Weather Service began ratcheting up its warnings about the coming windstorms. On Tuesday, she attended the inauguration of the Ghanaian President John Dramani Mahama, leaving City Council President Marqueen Harris Dawson as LA's acting mayor when the Palisades fire broke out. As she returned to the U.S., Bass faced some brutal assessments of the city's handling of the fires. In one airport, she stood silently as a Sky News reporter peppered her with questions about her decision to go to Africa. In the video of the confrontation, Bass mostly avoided eye contact as the reporter pressed her on whether she needed to apologize to Angelenos for being in Africa and whether she regretted reducing the fire department budget earlier this year. Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? The reporter asked. Bass did not reply to any of his questions. As the Palisade fire exploded in size on Tuesday and new blazes broke out in Salmar and elsewhere, Harris Dawson, not Bass, served as the city's top elected official at news conferences. And with Bass away from the cameras, real estate developer Rick Caruso, her opponent in the 2022 mayoral election, swept in to fill the information gap, blasting the city's handling of the disaster on multiple new outlets. Thank you for the super chats. I see you. I appreciate that a ton. Caruso, whose daughter lost her home in the wildfires, voiced outrage over the lack of water pressure that hampered firefighters in the Pacific Palisades. On Fox 11, he criticized Bass over her absence, saying that we've got a mayor that's out of the country and we've got a city that's burning. We have a mayor who seems to be more concerned about being at some party wherever the hell that is, Caruso said in an interview with The Times. We have terrible leadership resulting in billions of dollars in damage because she wasn't here and didn't know what she was doing. Bass, following her return, said she took the fastest route back to the United States, traveling one leg of the journey on a military plane. During that trip, she had phone service that allowed her to stay in contact with public safety personnel. I was able to be on the phone the entire time of the flight, she said. Asked about the low pressure afflicting city fire hydrants, officials with Department of Water and Power said earlier in the day that there had been a tremendous demand on the water system, which had been pushed to the extreme. The system received 4 times the typical demand for 15 hours straight, lowering the overall water pressure. DWP General Manager Janice Quinones said at a Wednesday morning news conference. Now, during that same briefing, Crawley, the fire chief, thank you, Valley, for that $10 super chat. I see that, and I appreciate that. The fire chief told reporters that Bass would be returning at noon. Bass Deputy Chief of Staff Celine Cordero said that her boss had been actively involved in the decision-making during her time overseas. I want to assure the community that the city, that our mayor has been actively engaged 100% of the time the entire last 24 hours throughout this unfortunate event and crisis, said Cordero, appearing before a bank of news cameras. Los Angeles County Supervisor Catherine Barger backed up those assertions, saying that she stayed in regular communication with Bass throughout the emergency, texting with her until 10:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Trust me, she's very engaged, said Barger, whose district takes in the north end of the county. Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna was also unconcerned about Bass's absence, saying that he was dealing directly with the police chief, the fire chief, and other officials. He said that he was sure that Bass tried to return as quickly as possible. Even though I may not see the mayor, I feel her presence, Luna said. The National Weather Service began warning of potentially strong winds amid extreme fire conditions on Thursday, 2 days before Bass left for Ghana. Those warnings intensified over the subsequent days. By Monday, officials were bracing for a potentially life-threatening and destructive windstorm. Eric Spiegelman, the Los Feliz resident who served for several years on the city's board of taxicab commissioners, and said Bass should have booked an early flight home no later than Sunday after the National Weather Service issued a fire weather watch for LA and Ventura counties. That bulletin warned of strong and damaging winds and critical fire conditions. She should have been here on Tuesday. Full stop, Spiegelman said. They kept upgrading the danger levels. So there you have it, you guys. People outraged right now with the lack of response from the mayor, her going out to Africa while there were major threats and warnings about winds and fires for the city. And take a look at this. The mayor was silent when asked if she needed to give an apology amid the wildfires. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass remained silent Wednesday when confronted by a reporter who demanded that she answer for her handling of the deadly wildfires sweeping the city, according to a viral clip circulating around social media. Mayor Bass is facing backlash from her constituents for a visit to West Africa amid the wildfires. She had traveled to Ghana earlier this week to attend the presidential inauguration of John Dramani Mahama before returning to Los Angeles. Sky News senior Ireland correspondent David Blevins posted on X that he spotted Mayor Bass in the airport. Video of that interaction has earned over 500,000 views as of Thursday morning. Blevins opened by identifying himself as a reporter. He was then blocked by a person with the mayor, the footage shows. And here it is right here on X. The lady's not up for talking. But it didn't stop us from trying when we spotted LA Mayor Karen Bass on our flight. And in this footage, if you haven't seen it, he's basically asking her these questions. Do you think that it was right for you to go out to Africa while your city is on fire? Do you think that the people of Los Angeles deserve an apology from you? And all of these, she remained silent. He said, do you have no answer for this? She remained silent the entire time. Fire chiefs say that they're stretched to the limit and running out of water. What have you got to say? He asked. Stop touching me, the person with Mayor Bass told Blevins. Mayor Bass then looks away from the reporter, ignoring his direct inquiry. Have you no response to that? Blevins pressed. Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes are burning? Mayor Bass then looks down, avoiding Blevins' gaze. Do you regret cutting the fire department by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Blevins pleaded. Again, Mayor Bass gave no response. The mayor's office did not immediately respond to a request for comments from the national news desk about the interaction. Mayor Bass last year oversaw a city budget adjustment which slashed over $17 million from the Los Angeles Fire Department, according to information shared via X by the city officials. The information went viral on social media after the wildfires began. So there you have it yet again. Now, President-elect Donald Trump on Wednesday also blamed California Governor Gavin Newsom for the wildfires, saying that he wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called the smelt by giving it less water. It didn't work, but didn't care about the people of California. Now, as we saw in that clip, we had seen that they interviewed Gavin Newsom in front of some homes that were burning on fire. Let's go ahead and take a look at that so that way you can see the full response. And you're going to see him asked about the lack of water that's available, the water pressure down. You're going to hear him respond to what it was that Donald Trump had to say about him. And you're going to hear him say, oh, well, you know, he's trying to politicize this. Well, at the same time, you are the governor of California, and he is blaming the lack of preparedness, which probably should come from the governor. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with Donald Trump? If so, 7. If no, put no. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this video footage. And again, do me a favor if you haven't done so yet. Hit the like button. Just help spread this out so more people can get the latest updates. Let's take a look at this response by Gavin Newsom from CNN.
What's the latest?
Well, 5 dead, likely more. Just complete and utter devastation. I've been in a lot of these fires, a lot. Going back to Paradise, and this approximates Paradise. It's not a numeric, it's just a feeling, sense of loss, place, belonging.
Still no containment.
No, we're at zero containment. The winds have been a little bit more favorable, as you've seen in the last few hours. So we've got the helicopters back up. We've got some fixed-wing aircraft. Out on the coasts, it's a little different. It's pretty intense. We have 23 aerial assets just at the Palisades, but a lot of them are not operational because of those winds. So it's a combination of challenges. That said, we've depleted all our resources. Northern California, we'd already pre-positioned on Sunday. Hundreds of personnel, special units, water tenders, dozers, engines, helicopters, and it wasn't enough. And now we're getting the mutual aid system, the EMAC system. Governors from all across the country are calling. Oregon sending a few dozen engines, and in Arizona, Utah, we're just grateful for all the support.
A lot of these firefighters that I was talking to on the street, they've been working, 26, 27 hours. Are they? That's just going to continue. I mean, there's not enough folks here.
Yeah, I mean, we got a few thousand people working on this, and luckily we were fully staffed. The U.S. Forest Service is staffed up traditionally at this time of year. Remember, we're in January.
It's supposed to be wet this time of year.
It's supposed to be wet. I mean, so this is anomalous. I remember Paradise happened in November. I mean, so there's no fire season in California. It's year round, but to have this level, the acuity of fires is without precedent. These winds are without precedent, and the challenge is these winds are going to continue on and off, a little bit less intense. Last night, you got 80, 90 mile an hour winds. These guys were just up there to try to mitigate the embers going 2 miles and getting just to go a quarter of a mile to try to save some.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter in this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's got to be determined by the local
authorities. Were saying part of it is the gravity, that it's these giant tanks on top of the mountains, which...
Yeah, well, they're going down. We were just with the team. They're getting the tenders down to Pasadena, filling things back up, coming back up. So it's just
Are aerial assets now able to fly?
Yeah, they've been the last few hours, particularly helicopters. Fixed wing's been up a little bit earlier, but out on the coast it's been a little more stubborn because those winds are swirling. The challenge is, you can see that they can fly. It's not a question of turbulence or anything else. It's just the mitigations flying all over the place. So it doesn't have any benefit necessarily. So we've got National Guard working rattlesnake teams out there on the line. We're also trying to bring them in to supplement some of the law enforcement efforts as well. It's all hands on deck across the spectrum. The biggest thing, though, Anderson, that happened today, sincerely, and you can appreciate it in a community like this, to get that direct individual assistance with the major disaster declaration within 36 hours. This incident from the president was a game changer for this community, for small businesses, et cetera. So not that we're thinking about the next phase, but we have to be thinking concurrently about the next phase is how we rebuild this community. But right now we're in this mitigation phase. We're in the public safety phase.
I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden. And he had the backs of every single person in this community. He didn't play politics, didn't try to divide any of us.
Finally, your message to the folks here, to this community.
I mean, we have their backs, and we're going to be back. And this is going to be a long recovery process. But look, we have residents moving back into Paradise, California. I've seen remarkable recovery efforts. I've seen remarkable sense of community and purpose, resilience. So, I'm not just playing the politician role of optimism. I really am long-term optimistic. But the devastation to hear people wailing and crying, concerned about their pet, their family, they're just bewildered about what they're experiencing. And again, not just experience. I was not talking past tense. This is happening in real time. 0% containment.
0% containment. There you have it, you guys. Gavin Newsom. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was when he was asked, hey, what's the deal with the fire hydrants? Why have there been no water in the fire hydrants? His response was, hey, local people got to figure that out. Local people got to figure that out. That is the quote coming from Gavin Newsom. So, yeah, maybe there's no water in the fire hydrants, but hey, that's the local people. That's you got to figure that out. So, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on that one. Now, in addition to that, let's go ahead and take a look at the mayor finally getting back to Los Angeles, having something to say after her vacation to Africa. Let's go ahead and take a look at this so that way you can see what she had to say when she returned back to the city which she was mayoring.
Sympathy and concern about the devastation and the tragedy that our city and county are facing. And I definitely want to send my condolences to the families who lost loved ones, to the families and neighborhoods who lost property. This firestorm is the big one in magnitude. Hurricane force winds are usually accompanied by rainstorms, but these are hurricane force winds that are combined with extremely dry drought conditions. To provide context, at 10:20 a.m. yesterday, the Palisades fire was at 10 acres. 12 minutes later, it was at 200 acres. To those who fled their homes, especially those who have lost your homes, our hearts are breaking for you, and we stand with you. I know the world is looking at images of our city's devastation. I have seen the front lines of the Palisades fire, and it is staggering. I've been in constant contact with our fire commanders, with county, state, and federal officials. I took the fastest route back, which included being on a military plane, which facilitated our communications. So I was able to be on the phone the entire time of the flight. We are fighting for you and everyone in Los Angeles. Thank you to our first responders who waded in the flames, pulled people from cars, and got them to safety no matter how dangerous. And thank you to everyone who heeded our warnings to evacuate. Tonight, more people may get evacuation orders, and if they do, please leave immediately. If you have an evacuation warning, get ready to go. Protect yourself and each other, and support our firefighters on the front lines. Our strategy included preparations and pre-deployment, and it now includes fire crews from around the state and from our federal partners. We are also adapting in real time. These winds continue to blow. So let me be clear. I am making sure that we leave no resource untapped. Firefighters are now on scene from across the state and across the country. I spoke with President Biden today and Governor Newsom earlier today, and they assured me of full federal and state support. As we head into tonight, we are still facing strong and erratic winds. In Palisades and in Sylmar, we are very much in an active firefight. I can report to you that the Woodley fire, however, in the Sepulveda Basin is under control. I can also report that finally air operations have resumed, and that is a big deal, but it is up to the winds as to how long the air support can continue. But these conditions are highly volatile. We've seen a devastating fire in the Pasadena area. Fires have sparked up in Simi Valley and on the LA and Ventura County line. And as our firefighters do battle on the front lines, all of us must be vigilant. So if you receive an evacuation order, please leave immediately. If you receive a warning, get ready, protect yourself and protect each other, and don't divert firefighters from our strategy. Signals are out and the roads have debris. So stay off the roads unless you are evacuating or have another emergency. Be prepared, food, water, medicine, a bag packed and ready. Again, this is an active situation. And conserve water to the extent that you can. We want to make sure that we are ready if we need more water. But make no mistake, Los Angeles will rebuild stronger than ever. Right now, if you need help, emergency information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles, together is how we will get through this. Through the heroism of our firefighters, the vigilance of Angelenos, and the spirit of our city. This is a big moment. It is a big moment for all of us to come together, for Angelenos to be united, for Angelenos to be prepared to help each other. This is who we are. LA will rise, and make no mistake, I am confident that we will rebuild.
Thanks for watching.
There you
Stay
have it, you
updated
guys.
about
That
breaking-
was the mayor of LA when she finally made it back to her location in Los Angeles after going on her trip to Africa. while the fires were raging. So there you have it. Now, in addition to that, we are hearing that there are more fires starting all over, and people are not really certain what is causing these. Let me know your thoughts. Put a 1 if you think that there is something nefarious going on. Put a 2 if you think that these are natural causes. But there is circulating footage right now of people speculating they're seeing individuals lighting these fires. We actually saw, I was live with you. We were doing the coverage as Hollywood Hills broke out last night. And they said, they asked the expert that was there on the scene regarding the fires, the firefighters, and they said, no, this did not spread from other fires. The distance is too far. The wind didn't carry these embers over here. This was started by something else. Now, we don't know what it was, but then also we saw some buildings catch fire last night as well. And we don't know what they started from. They just randomly started up. And so there are speculations circulating right now that this could be a eco attack taking place against California. Somebody could be lighting the entire place on fire, especially while winds are picking up. And this could be an eco attack on the state of California. Now, we will see as information comes out regarding the sources of these. A lot of people are speculating what is going on. I will continue to keep you guys up to date on that, but I've got tons of video footage that has been coming out on that, and people are wondering what is going on as we're seeing headlines like this. Take a look. What's the latest on the LA fires? And what caused them? It says out-of-control wildfires are ripping across Los Angeles, leading to at least 5 people losing their lives, burning down hundreds of buildings, and prompting more than 130,000 people to flee their homes in America's second largest city. Now, despite the efforts of firefighters, the biggest blaze remains totally uncontained. You heard Gavin Newsom say 0% containment. There is not a bit of this that has been contained at this time, and then we're hearing the worst is yet to come, with weather conditions and the underlying impact of the climate change expected to continue fanning the flames for days to come. So what is the latest? Well, more than 137,000 people have been forced to leave their homes, many of them simply carrying whatever belongings they can. Police say that at least 5 people have lost their lives and their bodies have been found near the Eaton fire, but the cause of loss of life is not yet known. Like the even larger Palisades fire, the Eaton fire remains totally uncontained. Meanwhile, the Sunset fire that has been menacing the well-known Hollywood Hills area has started to shrink but is not yet contained. Evacuation orders for the Hollywood Hills West area have been lifted. Nearly 2,000 structures are known to have been destroyed, including houses and schools and businesses on the iconic Sunset Boulevard. A fire ecologist has told the BBC that the entire neighborhoods have been wiped out. Among the celebrities who have lost their homes are Leighton Meester and Adam Brody, who attended the Golden Globes just days ago, and Paris Hilton. The insurance industry fears this could prove to be one of the most costly wildfire outbreaks in U.S. history, with insured losses expected to be above $8 billion due to the high value of the properties in the path of the blazes. There is a glimmer of hope for firefighters as the fire weather outlook for Southern California has been downgraded from extremely critical just to critical. But BBC weather forecaster Sarah Keith Lucas says there is no rain forecast in the area for at least the next week, meaning conditions remain ripe for fire. Power has been cut to swaths of the city and traffic jams have built up, adding to the disruption. A number of schools and the University of California, Los Angeles have been forced to close. A political row about the city's preparedness has erupted after it emerged that some firefighter hoses have run dry, an issue seized upon by U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, as he is saying it is time for Gavin Newsom to step down, to resign for this lack of preparedness. He said this has been an issue for quite some time, yet has failed to do anything to try to help people out with what they knew was coming. Now, in addition to that, let's take a look at some video footage that's going to recap some of the things that have been unfolding here. This is coverage from CNN that has come out in just the past couple of hours. Let's go ahead and take a look.
In Los Angeles County are waking up to continued mass devastation this morning, with thousands of homes and businesses now reduced to rubble and ash. You're looking at live pictures from the Pacific Palisades, courtesy of our affiliate KABC. At least 5 people have died in these fires, but officials expect that number to rise, sadly, as the most destructive fire is still 0% contained. CNN's Julia Vargas Jones is in Altadena. Julia, tell us what it's like there on the ground.
Well, Jake, scenes like this one, this house is still on fire. It's street after street, and you see, you know, this vegetation, dried out California vegetation that is so ripe to just ignite as the fire makes its way through construction materials and destroying people's homes, their memories, their lives in these homes. We see on my other side here, a neighbor has a gas leak that's been going for at least a few hours since we've been here. Firefighters working tirelessly to try and contain this. As you mentioned, 0% contained. This is the Eaton fire that has come down from the Angeles National Forest in the hills that are just behind Altadena and Pasadena, these cities just east of Los Angeles. And it's ravaged through these neighborhoods. We've witnessed people here trying to make their way back to their homes, trying to check on their homes, and being faced with just rubble, skeletons of what it used to be. Meanwhile, you know, firefighters working 36, 48-hour shifts, and we have support from National Guard and firefighters coming from as far as Oregon to help fight this. The main aspect that might change the luck of these firefighters in the coming hours is the wind, Jake. You know, I've described this event as kind of a hurricane of fire, and it's because the winds are the most important element here in the containment of this fire. Firefighters have had a lull for the past almost 16, 24 hours of just having being able to get some aerial support with the winds not being so high, but we are expecting for them to pick up back again this afternoon, Thursday afternoon, and it's anyone's guess what that could do. We're still looking at 10,600 acres out here in Altadena and in Pasadena and up in these hills. Who knows where that will go next? What I will say is the scale of this destruction is jarring. Driving through the streets, going through these neighborhoods, it is people's homes and it's businesses. It will take a really long time for these communities to get back to what they used to be, Jake.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go to meteorologist Derek Van Dam, who's in the CNN Weather Center. Derek, what kind of conditions are we expecting in the coming hours as firefighters attempt to contain these blazes?
Yeah, residents, Jake, in Los Angeles County were encouraged to hear the sounds of helicopters, see them drop their water on the firefighting efforts here. That is a big difference from 24 hours ago when they could not fly that aircraft. So now we're getting that aerial support, at least for the time being. So the wind, as Julia was saying, is so incredibly important, an important weather factor for the flames that are still ongoing. And right now, they're generally weaker than that was 24 hours ago. But I want you to see as we go through time, through the course of your Thursday, this area will see more Santa Ana winds, picking up in intensity, 60-mile-per-hour ridgetop winds, 40 to 50-mile-per-hour winds in the canyons, the valleys, and near the coastline as well in some of the hardest hit areas. We have to wait to Friday until we experience more calm weather and wind conditions. So when we look at the 5 fires that we're monitoring right now, the 5 large fires, we've got Palisades near the coast, but the Eaton fire just north of Pasadena coming down the mountainside, threatening these homes and continuing to burn this area. The shade of red, of course, are the already burned acreage that is currently ongoing. So spot fires will ignite new fires, especially as the Santa Ana winds pick up through the course of the day today. Now I'm going to take you into Santa Monica. There's the famous pier, the shoreline there, and then going into the actual, this would be the eastern flank of the fire, western LA County near Santa Monica. You can start to see the spiral effect of the residential communities here. This fire continues to encroach on heavily populated areas of the western LA County region. In fact, satellite imagery proves just that. What an incredible sight to see the charred homes from space on this recently released satellite image. I mean, just incredible, Jake, the level of destruction from these fires that's still ongoing.
Commander, thank you so much for being with us. We've been checking in with you periodically throughout this blaze, and we talked to you overnight about the Palisades fire burning in Pacific Palisades. Sarah was just talking about that. What is the status this morning?
Well, this morning, the fire is approximately 17,234 acres. Currently, the winds, we still are getting an offshore flow in the Santa Ana winds, but they have subsided since what we saw the first day and a half of this incident. We have firefighters deployed throughout the communities all around the perimeter, and are really looking to make some headway today as we start to see the wind subside and really take an opportunity to extinguish any ignitions around structures, as well as establishing perimeter control around the incident.
The people should know that the pictures on your screen right now are live from Pacific Palisades. You can see those fires raging right now. Commander just told us 17,000 acres burned. Talk to us more about the conditions today. You do expect today to be more favorable?
Yes, we're still going to see, threatening winds. I don't think they're not predicted to be the magnitude that we saw the first day and a half of this incident, when we were seeing sustained winds up to 50 miles an hour, gusts, over 90 in some areas of the fire up at the ridge tops. So, the challenges that were presented the first 2 days of this fire, day and a half roughly, where we're getting a massive ember cast and just spot fire and ignitions ahead of the main body of the fire and around structures. As the winds subside, we expect that to reduce today, but we'll be prepared, and we're continuing to bring resources in from across the state, as well as outside of the state of California through mutual aid, and to really, hopefully, as the winds die down, we could start to get a little bit more progress on perimeter control today.
Do you anticipate more evacuations will be necessary?
That's a continuous evaluation throughout. It will be throughout the course of this incident until we, have really solid containment. It doesn't necessarily mean that it will occur today, but we are always in the planning phase. We'll have messaging early if that does occur. But if the winds do die down today, we're hoping to make some significant progress.
How is water availability at this moment to fight these fires? I know in some places you are taxing resources.
Yeah, we did tax the water system the first day and a half. Worked with the local water agencies. They've been able to provide some supplemental water through water trucks, or what we call water tenders. It was a challenge early. No reports overnight of any issues with water pressure. We're bringing a lot more engines in ahead of the initial attack in that first day too, which allows us to be more mobile, move water around the incident, as well as requesting more water trucks. So we've worked around some mitigations for that, and the water system is starting to stabilize.
Well, that is good news. And we just showed pictures before of fighting these blazes from the air, a helicopter there. I know the fires were so fierce and the winds so strong at certain times that you were not able to do that. Are you able to get those air resources in at this time?
Yeah, we've had helicopter water dropping helicopters up working all night. The first day it was very challenging. There was aircraft up, but we really have to gauge the safety and the effectiveness of what they're able to accomplish. So last night we had 7 helicopters up water dropping, as well as some aerial supervision and intelligence platforms. So that was a bonus and really helpful as the winds died down, or were not at the scale they were the first day and a half of this incident.
Again, that is good news. 7 helicopters out working overnight. What's your biggest concern this morning?
Just going to be continue to be the winds, even though they might be predicted to not be sustained winds like they were. Any gust could throw an ember across the line. We could get ignitions around structures that were not impacted. So we'll do our due diligence, make sure that we continue to staff the areas of the fire that have the potential for structure loss heavily, and really look for those opportunities to gain perimeter control on this incident.
All right, Jim Hudson, I know it's been a long...
So there you have it, you guys. That is the update as to what is going on as of this morning, January the 9th, 2025, as we're hearing that the fires are spreading. We have 0% containment, and we are also hearing that Donald Trump is calling for the resignation of Gavin Newsom, and the people of Los Angeles are extremely upset with the mayor's absence. A lot of people calling for her resignation as well. And if you agree with Donald Trump that that Gavin Newsom and then the Mayor Bass should step down, put a 47 in the comments. And also do me a favor, hit the like button if you haven't done so yet and you appreciate the updates, keeping you up to speed on everything. And to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not subscribe? Hit that subscribe button and I'll let you know know everything that's going on. Also, all the articles that I've referenced linked in the description below. But that is the latest. I'll keep you up to speed as more information comes out. We're hearing the worst, unfortunately, is yet to come, but whatever unfolds, I'll let you guys know here on the channel. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.